Well, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're fit and well and healthy. Um, as Michaela pointed out very aptly, that the word unprecedented is used quite often. But I've been in sales now for 38 years, gone through 3 recessions, 1 global recession or downturn, and I can honestly say that I've seen a fast slowdown, but the slowdown that I've seen is normally a bit more dramatic than what I'm seeing at the moment. And that may be different for different industries, for different people, but for me, it's it's not. It's definitely affected my business, but in some ways, it hasn't affected my activity that I do. So during this course, what I want to try and do is I put some little bits of resilience in. I'm going to use some examples of other companies of how they grown in a recession and not gone the other way. And hopefully I'm going to give you some hints, tips and advice of how you can try and thrive and survive through this. I wouldn't call it a crisis. I would call it an opportunity. A lot of people call it a downturn. I think that's quite negative, although there is a lot of people impacted by what is going on at the moment. But also it's an opportunity for you to put yourself out to a wider audience. I don't think there's ever been a time when more people have been online than ever before than now. People are sat at home, they are on their laptops, they are on LinkedIn, they're on Facebook, they're on all these platforms, TikTok, whatever you want to use these days. People are on these platforms. People are getting bored. There was a right time to sell, I think, and there was a wrong, and there's a wrong time to sell. Week 1, when everyone was in shock coming in, not so sure that was the right time to start pushing products or services. That was more supporting. But I think now, as people are settling into getting into lockdown, I think it's more prominent that you could start to plan some activity about what you're going to do short, medium and long term through this crisis. So like I say, I've been in sales for 38 years. I started at 14 years old, Saturday job selling slippers and trainers on a market stall in Salford. That's where I learned my trade, if you would. Selling's all I've ever done. It's all I know. And I still sell today. 2 of my businesses started in the last recession, and that was a global downturn. And now I have, several businesses today. So you can turn negatives into positives. It's just how you go about doing it and whether you've got the right mindset or not to do it. So just quickly go through what we're going to cover. So we've done some introductions. We'll try and ask some questions as we go through. If you want to leave them through to the end, you can do. I don't mind, use a chat box that you want to do, but if there's something that's really bugging you, you want to get it out there, just put it in the chat box and we'll see if we can answer that as we go. Resilience, you've really got to have a different mindset for this kind of world that we're in at the moment. So I'll just go through a little bit of that with you. We are selling in a new age, so selling has changed a lot. Over 38 years, I no longer have to tread my soles of my shoes around industrial estates. I can get to people a lot quicker, a lot faster. And the world of selling has changed. It's become quicker, faster, more efficient, I would say. So I'm going to tell you, where do you start in all this? What do you do? I'm going to go through that with you. Talking, a lot about talking to your customers, your suppliers, your potential new clients. How do you reach out to them? What do you do with them? Strategy. What sort of strategy should you employ during this period? So what are you doing as a business or as an entrepreneur to try and gain some traction in sales or just generally within your business? So talking really about a short, medium and long-term strategy, because we don't know when we're going to finish with this. We will come to an end, for sure. But thinking about strategies, about how to cope through this time period. Customers, we're going to talk a lot about customers because I think more than ever now you're going to need your customers and certainly your existing customers. Building trust, I'm going to go through a little bit of that with you. building strong relationships with your customers and suppliers. And I can share with you what I do, because not only do I work for Boost as a business coach and business mentor for everything sales related, but I actually have a company where we sell and market products for people globally. One of my clients is Hitachi. So, and I'll share with you real examples about what we're doing at the moment with our business. So hopefully that should help you with your business. Engaging your customers more and more, I would say, engaging your suppliers. What are you doing? What are you talking about? Helping is the new selling, I would say, but that's not a new saying, it's an old saying. And really, what can you control in your life at the moment? And we'll come back to that later. So we'll get straight in. As I say, I have an engineering company. It's my company. We sell products for people globally. The next slide is some of the companies that I've ever worked for or done business with. I couldn't put them all on there because I've never fit them all on. But some of those you'll recognize and some of them you won't. Some of them will be doing very well at the moment, and some of them will be slowing down. And you could probably tell by a few of those names on there which will be doing all right and which ones will be struggling a little bit. So I think what we've got to look at really is, and when I put this together, is thinking about the lessons from the past. You know, like I say, I've been through three recessions in the UK over the last 38 years. And when I think about what I did back then, when the recessions were hit, was I doing anything different to what I was doing today? Probably not really. If I'm being honest, it's much the same. We've had one global recession. What did I do at that time? I started a business. What do we learn from it? What you learn is that these things impact your life in a way that you can't even imagine. But what you have to think about is, okay, it's happening. There's nothing I can do about it. What can I do about the things that are happening to me at the moment? What can I control? How can I drive my business forward in an age where most people are either closing their doors or shutting up shop, literally, or just doing something else? Did my sales structure or my activity change during those recession times? I would say no, not really. We carried on with the plan that we originally set out to do when that happened. Generally, what you find is in sales organizations, when there's a downturn, you find that they ramp their sales up. They don't fold them down, because they know that if they stop driving forward, it was going to affect the business more and more. So generally in times of downturn, what you find is that your sales activity should start to ramp up. So you should start to think about the things that you can do in order to either market yourself or sell more product or reach out to new customers and clients. So that's one of the things that we learned. And I'm going to show you an example of that shortly, which is a very real example. Can we use lessons of the past to adapt now? Absolutely, because I'm doing it at the moment. And companies find ways of gaining new customers. You just have to think in a different mindset. You have to think about what you're saying and how you're saying it. At the moment, people can't have face-to-face meetings, so everybody's adapting to the technology that we're using and having virtual meetings. Even though in the past, we may not have chosen to do that because we like to be face-to-face, I think a lot of people now, after this period, are going to get quite used to doing these webinars. And I think you may find that companies are doing it more and more. If I just talk to you about, not the last global recession, but a recession before that, was back in 1998, around that period. There was a company that I was working for, that I worked with, who was a national distributor in the UK selling engineering products. They had about, I would say, about 160 branches throughout the UK, and they turned over roughly about 300 million a year, something like that. Way back then, they were talking about taking their sales guys off the road and having virtual meetings like we're having now, and me doing these webinars, going through products and services, and doing exactly what we're doing at the moment. It was met with a lot of resistance at the time, but that company, very wisely at the time, decided it was too forward thinking and decided to put it on the back burner and actually shelved that idea. At the time, it seemed very, very revolutionary, not to have sales guys going out and visiting people, but to have them having virtual meetings, because what they clearly identified was that if you're going out and seeing customers, you can reach more customers doing what we're doing now than you can if you get in your car and drive around all day and you might meet, 5 or 6 customers. They very quickly realized if you utilize this technology, you could probably speak to double the amount of customers in the same time period that you have when you're working in the way that we're doing now. So you might want to think about that. You have existing customers, some of you may have, some of you may not. We have existing customers. How do we engage with them? What do we do? And I'll come back to that later with the strategy. So we're in a downturn. Can I show you a real example of last global recession where a company made quite a lot of extra sales? Yeah, so I take it you all know this company. Very famous, Golden Arches. So what we're going to have now is a little bit of a quiz. I'm trying to make this as interactive as I can. And Michaela's going to put a poll up or some questions for you to ask. So how much do you think McDonald's grew their business by in 12 months back in, I think it was 2011, 2012, in the last global recession, when all other companies were either getting rid of staff, going bust, or just folding down and really not growing? So you've got some options there. There's 28 million, 60 million, 150 million, and 300 million. Which of those figures do you think they grew their turnover by? So I'm going to let you guys answer that now. Tick one of those boxes and see what you come up with. Have a think. And if you don't worry. It's just have a stab in the dark if you've absolutely no idea. Oh, okay. Very good. I like that. So, who was right? Shall we have a look? Okay, 1 second. Close that up. 1 second, hang on. Oh, I may have lost my control of my...
It's okay. Do you want me to answer?
Oh, there we go. That's it. There we go. They are $60 million. So that's how much in the middle of a recession McDonald's grew their business. Let's go to the next question.
19% people were right there.
19% of people were right there, yeah. How do you think they did it? So this is another poll that we put up. Do you think it was better marketing? Do you think they purchased product better? Do you think they introduced a new product to the market? Do you think they ramped up their TV advertising? Or do you think they just asked the customer a question? Which one do you think had the biggest impact on that $60 million growth? I'll let you guys answer. Just have a think.
Only 9 people have answered so far. A few more to answer.
Okay, so we'll just hang on, don't worry. Just have a complete stab in the dark if you don't know.
Just guess.
Yeah. How much which one of those do you think had the biggest impact on that 60 million? Yeah.
You ready? Last chance.
Last chance. Just have a wild guess, stab in the dark. Come on.
6 people are just gone to sleep, I think.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to end it.
Well, yeah, and the poll.
Share the results.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Very good.
Ask the customer a question.
Absolutely. There you go.
Let's have a look.
So there you go. They just asked the customer one question. What do you think that question was? We've got another poll for you to see if you know what that question was. Anybody have a wild guess what that question is? I think, Michaela, you've got another, yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you think it was go large? Do you want a McFlurry?
Do you want to go large?
Do you want to go large? Want a large coffee? Or would you like fries with that? Which one of those do you think it was? Yeah. Have a wild guess if you don't know.
The same 13 are answering every time.
That's
14.
all right. That's okay. That's okay. I don't know if staff are taking part, so.
Should we end it?
Yeah, we'll end it. Yeah.
And I'll share the results with you.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay. So the majority of you say go large. Yeah, you're not far from that, but you might be at the opposite end of the scale. Shall we find out what it was? 1 second. Yeah, you're not the only one. I miss MacD's as well. I really do. Would you like fries with that? So every single counter staff was told, we don't care what they come in for. Just ask a question. And the question wasn't designed to get a yes, and it certainly wasn't designed to get a no, but they just weren't bothered. They just said, ask the customer if they come in. We don't care if they came in for a McDonald's McFlurry. We don't care if they came in for a coffee, an apple pie, an ice cream, a milkshake. Just ask them, do they want fries with that? And the compound effect of that one question on the whole of the business was that they grew their business by $60 million in 12 months. Quite phenomenal. To think that they only asked a customer one question. So on my next slide, I put this up. What one question would you ask your customer to grow your business? Now you need to think about this at the moment because, we're in, as we say again, unprecedented times. Helping is the new selling. So if you think about the questions that you ask customers when you're engaging with them, or even suppliers, you might want to think about very carefully about how you do that. So could I give you a real example of what questions I'm asking my customers? So, a really good one at the moment is, although we're in challenging times, what's the biggest challenge that you're facing with your business at the moment or with your industry at the moment? And that question can open up a multitude of answers that you get back. And so what you can do is you can start to then engage in conversation about how the economy is doing, how their industry sector's doing. Is it doing okay? Has it had a massive impact? I can tell you that one of my customers in Italy, it's had a massive a demonstrative effect on his business. What he told me when I asked him that question is that he can survive probably for another 3 to 4 months, and he hasn't let anybody go yet. But beyond that point, he's going to really start to struggle. When we're going to talk about it shortly about, what is your short, medium, and long-term objectives while you're going through this period, and what activity should you be doing. This is exactly the activity that you want to be talking about. A lot of these guys are at home. A lot of the guys sell our products for us. And so, the questions that I'm asking is, are you guys at home? Yes. Is there anything that you need from us that might help you to drive our product forward once we get out of this period? Is there any training that you want me to do with them? Is there anything technical that they need? Do you want me to do any joint webinars with not just your sales guys, but with any of their customers at the moment? Because some of their customers might be at home. So it might be a really good opportunity at the moment to try and engage with them in that way. That one question opens up a multitude of different answers and different conversations that you can have with your existing customer base or even your new potential customer base, because that very same question can be asked to a prospect that you're working with at the moment. If you're a little bit more empathetic about their situation and starting to engage in opening conversation, asking that one question about how you're finding it at the moment, you may find that you get, a half an hour's conversation out of that one question. So remember, next time you're thinking about asking questions, think about this. What one question would you ask a customer to grow your business or a potential customer to grow your business? So it's about asking relevant questions. Okay, selling in a new age. So who sells online? Is there a poll here, Michaela? Yep. So let's see what you guys do. So who sells online? Yes. Do you sell some products online? Would you like to sell online, or do you not sell online at all? Because I don't know who you guys are, don't know too much about your businesses. So I'd be really interested to see what sort of business what sort of sales you're doing online. So if you want to answer those, that'd be great. I'm going to have a sip of my brew.
Got 16 out of the audience that have answered. So I'm going to end the poll.
Okay, thank you.
And I will share the results.
Okay. All right, okay. So a lot of you sell some products online. Okay. 22% said they'd like to. 44% of you said that yes, you sell online. And there's about 28% of you that said none. So, right, that's okay. That gives me an idea. So, okay. Online sales at the moment, I think from what I've been hearing is that depending on what product it is, they seem to be doing okay at the moment. And I think the more that this goes on, the more people are going to be bored. And even though they haven't got as much money, they're still going to be buying products. I keep hearing Wish all over the place from people that I know. So I know Wish are doing quite well at the moment out of this this epidemic, and China's going back online now, so those deliveries. But the world of selling has changed. If there is a possibility that you could switch your business to be more online, now is probably a good way to do it. And if you can't, then being online and marketing yourself, your service and your products to other people, now is probably a better time than ever because you have a bigger audience. There are a couple of downsides to it, and I would say that, even though I'm telling you this, you might find that, and I'm seeing it more and more, especially on LinkedIn, is that more and more people are putting posts out there. So what I'm noticing is that when a post goes out, you're gonna find that less and less people see it because somebody else is posting out all the time. And you're gonna have a finite time to capture their attention. So selling in a new age. Yes, you can go online. Most high streets have a high street shop these days. You've got people like Amazon, eBay. Auto Trader at one time was just a paper. I remember the days of Auto Trader when, it only came out once every 2 weeks, and it took you about a week to get someone to come out, take a photo of your car, do the write-up, and and then you had to wait 2 weeks before you could sell your car. That's done instantaneously now. But I would think that because we can't move around as much nowadays, the car trade is probably not a very good trade to be in at the moment. House buying, again, that's gone online. All these companies made that switch years ago to go online. Argos, Gumtree, All those companies did that. So think about that. If there is any way at all in which you can try and shift your product or your service to more online, then I would recommend that you do that. Clearly, it's going to take a little bit more marketing activity because that's going to help you to drive some sales through. But that's all you can do at the moment because of the situation. So selling digitally online. So, I mean, if you do sell online, do you sell online? Do you use digital platforms? Which ones do you use? There are a myriad of platforms that you can use out there these days. I think there's a lot of plugins that you can use in order to sell your services and your products online these days. Websites are becoming so much easier to use these days with WordPress sites where you can make these alterations yourself. So if you're using those kind of sites, then you might want to think about how you can utilize what you've got. Look at your website, look at seeing how you can improve it. Are there products on there or services that are on there that you could offer that you were thinking of maybe putting on there in another 12 months' time? Can you do that now? Can you bring that forward and start to utilize what you have at the moment in order to push your services or your products to more online? Which one should you use? Like I say, that there is loads of them out there. I wouldn't like to recommend some and not others. You'd have to use which one works for you best, personally. Do you need to sell online? Is another question, really. I think these days everybody. I don't know many companies that don't sell online these days. But like I said, a strategy that you might want to employ is to be looking at your social media platforms, looking at your website, and looking at ways in which you can start to market out there. The beauty about a lot of these platforms, especially LinkedIn, Instagram, depends on what you're selling, they're all free, really. You have time on your hands at the moment. So utilize that time to put some plan together about how you're going to promote yourself, how you're going to promote your products to a wider audience. Can you offer free webinars? Can you now become an expert in your field? So, and you want to attract some clients, can you? Helping is the new selling. So you go out there and try and help people and other people, or attract people in where you're going to give them some free advice. You might even give away some of your knowledge and your experience. They're going to come back to you later and they're going to thank you for that. So utilize those platforms to your advantage. Don't just run out there and think you're going to, get something and it's all going to be great tomorrow. This stuff takes time. If you're going to get noticed on LinkedIn, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of planning. So, Michaela will be running a workshop on marketing. She does that. So look out for her courses. She is the expert in her field to help you to do that.
I just put that on the chat, Steve, that we'll be running a series of webinars just on all of the different platforms.
Yeah.
And we're looking at maybe putting one on about doing webinars.
Yes.
So actually running these webinars, because it's tricky and you need a bit of confidence behind you.
And I would say, because we're talking about online, I've had phone calls with my customers about how their situation is, and I've also had webinars with them as well. So, but I'm finding that the webinar is a lot better than the phone call. The phone call is, hi, how are you? What can we do? But the webinar part is, look, shall we go online, have a bit of a meeting, let's have a bit of a chat. And it's great to see a face. That's the most important bit. You can, when you see one of your customers, you can see the stress they're having at the moment, but they can also see the stress that you're having because everybody's in this together. We're all going through the same thing. So I'm finding that the conversation that I'm having are more empathetic. Everybody's more willing to help each other at this current time. My customers are not only reaching out to me, but they're reaching out to other people to see what we can do together. We're having conversations around what can we do next week? What can we plan? What activity can we get going next week in order to help both our businesses. A lot of business owners and a lot of business people understand this is not forever. It's going to come to an end at some point. So we have to think about that. And it's then about how best to utilize this time that we have at the moment in order to build our stronger relationship with each other. So where do we start? I put, and I've talked about it already, talk to your industry. That's the first place to go. Find out what your industry is doing, how hard it's been hit, or maybe it hasn't been hit, or maybe it's kind of stuck in the middle, floating along there somewhere. I would say go out there and gauge what is happening within your industry. It's really important to understand this. I've not only spoken to my customers and suppliers, but I've also spoken to my friends who are in my industry. So I know a lot of people. I've been in this industry for 34 years. I know a lot of people, and I've been messaging them, I've been emailing them, I've been phone calling them, and I'm asking them about how are they finding it at the moment? What are they doing? When you get a feel for what an industry is like, then you can start to make your plans about, remember I said at the beginning, short, medium, and long term. Okay, the industry's trundle along and somebody's still doing some work somewhere, there's still some opportunity. So it's not completely dead. If the industry's completely shut down, that's a bit different. But at least you can start to make a plan around what activity is going on in your industry at the moment. It will give you great insight into what is happening. And you need to understand what the insight is to understand how you're going to plan your activity around ramping up your sales. Do you think you could sell? Can I sell? I would say that in sales, timing is everything. Timing is everything. In that week one, I'm not so sure that was the right time to sell, although a lot of people went out there and started to sell. I'm not going to chastise those people for doing that. I didn't think at that particular moment it was right for me to start, contacting my customers. I think they were probably in enough shock on their own with what's going on and they're trying to do the same thing as me, trying to figure this whole thing out, just like we all are. So I think personally that week wasn't the right week to sell. Having said that, people are now settling in to this way of life that we're having. So as they're settling in, I think business is continuing to go. People are finding their way around these webinars. They're holding webinars. They're becoming more comfortable about working from home. They're realizing that they can do it and business can continue. So now is the right time to start selling to people and to start, marketing yourself out there and putting yourself out there to other people and potential prospects. My target audience is maintenance engineers. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about what I do, just so that you can understand. If you understand the activity that I'm doing, then it may help you within your industry or what you're doing. So my target audience is a maintenance engineer in a factory. So he's a guy that goes around and fixes all the machines when they're broke on the production line. The pulp and paper industry is still moving. So for me, that's a perfect target customer for me. But I've spoken and reached out to some engineers. And what I'm finding is that some of the engineers, they're not being furloughed. They're doing 50% on, 50% off, and they're switching the shifts around. Engineers work in tight groups. They work closely together. But with social distancing, they can't do that anymore. So if you've got products or services that can help in some way, that allows them to get their machinery up quicker, that helps them to reduce their downtime and get their production time up faster, then do you think at the moment that it's the right time to start telling those guys about those services and products? It probably is, because they're probably having some problems of their own with manpower. So anything that they can get their hands on that's going to save them that time, energy, that's going to give them a production line up that a lot quicker, is definitely going to help them. So my activity around what I might be planning to do will be to target those guys, but target them in a soft way, in a different way, if that makes sense to you. Sorry, someone's just made me a brew, so I just nodded my head and said yes. So I'm not crazy. I'm not just nodding my head for no reason. So I'm just going to finish this last slide, and then what I think we'll do is because I need a break, we'll have a quick coffee break, and then we'll come back. But not just yet. Just let me finish this slide. So understand your customers' challenges that they're facing at this current time. If you can understand the problems that they're having, try and offer solutions towards those, and that will probably get you either a new customer or an existing customer, or even with a supplier, even with your own current suppliers, people that are related to you. Reach out to them and ask them if they can help you. Everybody can recommend you to somebody else. If you've done something good in this time period, they're going to shout about it later on when we all start talking about it. Because the one thing's going to be certain, once this is over, everybody's going to be speaking about it. And a lot of people are then going to start to look about who helped them through it. What did they do? What was the effect? Even if you just rang a customer and you didn't get anything out of it, but you just had a chat or a coffee, or you just sat on a meeting like this, you just Zoomed them or used GoToMeeting, and you just talked about literally anything, about just the way things are at the moment. That little thing will help you with either customers or potential customers, because it's the little things. In my 38 years of sales, it's always been the little things that you do that have a massive impact with customers. And I speak about this a lot on my courses. Once, I had an MD once that said, so you're telling me all my sales guys should go around and have a biscuit and a cup of coffee with the customers? So, well, if they're not doing it, why aren't they doing it? If I'm going down to Birmingham and I want to go and see one of my customers, I should be able to ring them up and say, hey, Tom, I'm passing your place. You mind if I pop in and have a brew? I'm going down to London, but while I'm passing, I thought I'd nip in. I know for a fact, if I ring my customers where they are on that route, I know every one of them will say, yeah, come in, Steve. Sit down and have a coffee with us and have a brew. That time is time to build a relationship. At the moment, before this, people are really busy. I know I've been a sales guy for a long time, and I can tell you now more than ever, people are always busy. When you have to pitch people, you have to pitch them really fast these days. You've got to punch them really hard. Now is the time that you can kind of relax a little bit, and people have a little bit more time on their hands, because they're not in their office environment, they're in their home environment, and it's completely different. Their brain is switching off psychologically. Their brain is switching a little bit now. They're in more home mode, they're in more open mode than they've ever been before. So with your existing customers, talk to them, build a relationship with them, make that relationship stronger than it's ever been, because now is your opportunity to do that. There has never, ever been a better time to do that. Also with your current supply chain as well. If you have a supply chain, I would say do the same with them as well. Talk to them. Have this time to build those relationships and make them strong. Understand what their challenges are. Understand what they're going through, and see if you can offer solutions or help towards that. Right, okay, we've had a few slides. What time are we on? Here we are. Yes, that's perfect timing. Let's have we'll just have a 5-minute break. Is that all right, Michaela? What do you reckon? 5-10 minutes? Yeah, okay. Go and make yourself a brew. I don't know whether you've got any, because I can't see you all. And I'll come back at, 5 o'clock? That'll be all right for you? Okay, cool. So I'm going to leave my screen as it is. I'm going to get up and just take a quick break, all right? See you shortly. You'll see me come back. I'll just be having my brew. All right. Okay.
And thank you to Stephen. So if you've got any questions on what we've said already, or you've got any ideas, more importantly, that you want to share. So have you had any interesting conversations? Have you found work where you didn't expect to find work? Is something happened in your work life that's completely changed the way that you work? We want you to discuss that so that we can share that. I'm just reading the chat as it's coming in, Steve. I'm waiting for my cup of coffee. So I'll share. For me, it's actually much busier than I ever anticipated, because everybody now wants to go online, and we work at putting businesses online. We work at training businesses to be online. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're making a lot of money from that, but by offering those services free of charge, what we're able to do is we're able to set ourselves up in the future, get our name out there.
Correct.
I'm seeing some great stuff online. I have to admit, I'm a little bit addicted to Facebook at the moment. I can see who's taking advantage, but doing it in a really gentle, subtle way.
Correct.
Who's coming out the heroes in this? And I'm sure we can all name heroes. I'm really liking what some of the supermarkets are doing. They're real heroes at this time. And we can probably name some of the people that are not coming off so well by what they've done. And I think it's one of those times where what we do now as businesses will shape things to come for a very long time. So just being there and supporting is the key.
Be aware of that, because people won't forget. Trust me. They won't forget. They will talk about this time when it's over, and they will talk about the people that helped them out, or they'll talk about the people that were just there for them. I've just rung customers and just no other thing than just having a chat, saying hello, how are you finding it, what's going on, and that's all it's been. Not even scheduling another meeting, or not even talking about, what can we do. It's just been hello, how are you? And just having that relationship, and obviously asking them, look, what have you watched on Netflix recently? Because I got loads of time on my hands, that sort of thing. Because you get to know what a customer likes. Then you're building that relationship. You're getting to know them a lot better. And there's never ever been a better time for that than now. They have time on their hands, whereas ordinarily they wouldn't have that. So, use it to your own advantage. But like you said, Michaela, there are people out there that have been pushing services. You're clearly wanting some money out of people. For me, that's, all right, they've got a business and they've got to survive. I understand that. But on the other hand, the way they've been going about it, I've commented a few things on LinkedIn recently, and then I've got some messages afterwards, and some people have come on and said, I don't agree with what they're doing. It's, so, but you're always going to get that, you're going to get that. I would say be there for your customers at the moment, be there for people just like you would be ordinary people at the moment. It's what you've got to do.
We've got a question here on the question and answer from Rachel. Rachel says she's trying to land her first customer. She's looking for tourist boards, local councils, to promote their local destinations with VR. How should I approach them and encourage them to respond to her emails? So that's from Rachel.
Okay, so what you might want to do is reach out to them and say, with people having time on their hands, is there any way that you can organise some kind of demonstration of what you're doing, virtually, online, or whatever it is that you can do? Let me just hang on a minute. I'm just getting the question here. I'm trying to learn my first customer. Yeah. Okay. So you kind of want to say, this will come into pitching, which we're not really covering in this really, but you kind of want to say everything, nothing. If you're going to push new technology to help the tourist board, which they might be unfamiliar with, you might want to approach it in a different way. And it would really be about how would that service or that product benefit them in some way. It's VR, but they might not be used to VR because it might be new technology to them, and they'll be a bit hands-off like this. So what you've got to do is try and entice them a little bit. So you've got to try and think of a way of getting into them by showing them how it would benefit tourism in that local area. So, for instance, if you had a VR and you did something like Blackpool Tower, when this is all over, or maybe you've got some old footage, if you put that in your email, give them something to watch rather something to read. What we're trying to do at the moment, so we're putting a series of videos together where we can reach out to engineers, not to sell to them, but to point out the benefits of products that we're demonstrating to them. And what we're going to do is we're going to put that in an email. So rather than it be written, they just click the video and I talk about the service or the product that they are. And it's not done in a selling way. It's done in an education way. So the first thing we say is, we're not selling to you. I just want to make you aware of this product and this service and what it could do for you potentially. Other than that, that's fine. And thank you for watching the video. And that nice softly approach could work for you. So maybe think about doing something like that rather than doing the traditional written way, which people might get turned off with. Why don't you do it in a video way? So you're actually physically, more personal, I would say. Hope that's helped you with your question.
There's a couple more on the chat, Steve. So if we go into the chat, Heather's got a question. Can you read those, or do I need to read them out?
What's there? Hang on a minute. Sorry, stop.
Oh, chat's different.
Oh, chat. What are we on? Are we on chat? Are we on chat? Are we on?
We're on both.
On both. All right. Okay. Up here. There we go. Hang on a minute.
Q&A.
Can you see the chat?
Yes. Hang on.
One from Heather Johnson.
Heather Johnson. I've got Q&A. Where's the? I'm trying to find my chat. Actually, where's my chat?
Down at the bottom, just click on the little chat button and it should pop up. Okay, I'll read them out.
Yeah, read them out if you want.
I'll read them out. So Heather Johnson has asked us, she's telling us we have adapted into more of a subcontracting role to support our main client who's experiencing staff shortages. So that's
Brilliant.
Another option, isn't it? To actually fill in where people are missing.
Correct, because you can either pivot or persevere. So some people will persevere, continuing to do what they want, but as entrepreneurs, there are opportunities out there. You've seen a lot of manufacturers that are switching over to doing respirators. There's an opportunity, so they pivoted. And if you can help a customer out in that way, I'd say that's a great example of exactly what we've been talking about. So, very good, Heather. Yeah, nice one. I've got the other questions actually on my other computer, so they're just popping up. Sorry, what was the next one? What was the next one?
From Tracy, and she starts, I make soaps and cosmetics. Do you want to read that one?
No, it's okay. I'll 12 weeks. No problems.
And if anybody else has got ideas to help these people, or they see a solution and think, whoa, I've got the same problem, maybe we could have some buddying up.
Okay, so just in relation to, is that Trace? Is it Tracy, is it?
Tracy.
Yeah, Tracy, yeah. So is there anybody around you, Tracy, with your current situation that might be able to help you in some way with how you are? Because again, if you're what you have to think about is that think about what everybody else is doing. And I talk about this a lot on my sales training courses. What you have to be is different. You have to stand out in the crowd. If you continue to do the same things that everyone else is going to do, you're just going to blend into the background. So you really want to think about how you're approaching customers in a completely new and revolutionary way. And I think personally that video is the way to do it. So rather than us, typing something out, I just record something and send it to somebody. With click here, please watch what I've got to say. Because when you're doing it with video, and you can also do it with your products, Tracy, is that you can create a series around candles. So you're talking around candles. Apples are apples. I'm pretty sure candles are candles. There are some unique properties about your candles or what they do. You should talk about that and then start to put them out there, because it will resonate with somebody. And I always talk about, when I'm talking these videos, because I'm an engineer, I try and understand the engineer's point of view. What problems is he going to face at the moment? And how can I help him? How can I enhance what he's doing at the moment? So like Heather said, she said that they started to subcontract work out because their customers are wanting that, and they've probably got a shortage for it. So she's filled the gap, which is brilliant. So you might want to think about that. Is there anybody locally that could probably do those deliveries for you for the soaps? Is there people locally that you can reach out to in some kind of way with your product or your service? So you might want to think about doing a series of videos, and it goes for everybody's product really, because it's doing things it's doing something in a different way. Who else have we got? Debbie. You want someone to take your product.
Debbie's just answering the questions. Debbie's offered to saying that, can you ask someone to take it to the post office?
Yeah, that's what I said before. Can you use the people around you to try and get that product to your post office for you? Yeah.
Maybe has anybody used videos? Because we're seeing so much more use of video, and just being able to see a face and then have that movement makes people feel so much more relaxed and comfortable about doing business with you, because they've seen you already on a video. Has anybody in the meeting been using videos to a different, using them in different ways? We've been doing a lot of Facebook Lives and things like that, so that it gets out to a different audience. So that's been really useful.
Yeah, there's lots of activity that you can do. It's thinking about the one that's going to get you noticed at the moment, because even though I'm talking to you about going online, lots of people are going online, and so you've got to try and capture someone's attention quite quickly. So I'm just trying to, while I'm talking, I'm just trying to see where the chat is. Oh, there it is. Okay, so here we are. Oh, you've had a few meetings through Zoom, right? Okay. Making it interesting. Very good. Yeah, that sort of stuff is really, really good, Heather. Make it different, make it stand out, make it fun. It doesn't have to be boring. If you need to get the kids involved in some way, then brilliant, do that. So try and make it fun and interactive if you can. I deal with engineers, and they're quite logical. Some of them have a laugh, and I adopt my videos to my audience, and I would say the same thing to you. If that's something that you're pushing out there, then use every tool at your disposal. There's no rule book. You got to understand this. There's no rule book. You just make it up as you go along, or think out really outside the box, or think outside the planet about how you can get yourself noticed. Good. Well done, Tracy. Yeah. I think that's probably a good way of doing it. My brew's come, by the way. So go on.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
There's no biscuits, though.
No, I've gone through, I thought I got enough biscuits for lockdown. I didn't. I should have known that working from home. Although I do have a donker. Okay, Debbie.
Some of the participants are posting just to the panelists and not to the whole meeting. So when you write on the chat, you need to select all panelists and attendees. Otherwise, all the other attendees, well, maybe they don't want all the attendees to see the chat. But thank you, Debbie. You need to select from the blue drop down to all panelists and attendees, and then everybody can see your question. Thank you. We're all learning our way around new tech.
We are, absolutely. Okay, shall we continue?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, I'm going to turn the chat off. We'll carry on. That's it. Okay, so COVID-19, where to start? Well, as I said before, talk to your industry. We just talked about it, actually. Solve the problem. Don't try and sell the product. Create a conversation around the current situation. Ask what their problems are at the moment. I said it in the first slide that we went through. Thinking about your question and what you're asking them. What challenges are they facing at the moment? How are they finding things? it will give you, it will open conversation that's going to be huge for you. You're going to get you're going to get lots of different answers, enable you to understand what your customers are going through, what your potential customers are going through. More importantly, with your potential customers, because they're going to be having the same challenges as everybody else. If you can meet the needs of those customers, if you can solve some problems for them, you're going to have an opportunity to get in. Whereas before, you wouldn't have that. They are all facing challenges at the moment. The world has literally shut down overnight. However, some people are still working. Some industries are still going. So you need to understand what is it that they need. Talk to the industry. Talk to people. You know, on this slide, top left, talking. Talking is really interesting, but sell, as it says at the bottom on the banner, sell the problem you solve, not the product. That's really, really important. And in selling, we really want to understand the customer's point of view, and we can't do anything unless we understand that, to be honest with you. Can you pivot your business? In other words, can you change direction? You might be selling widgets one day, but you find that widgets have gone because beer's gone somewhere, or I don't know. Can you change? Is there opportunity somewhere else where you can fill a gap? So I would say that if there is, and you have that with your existing customer, you have more chance of doing that business than you would go and reaching out and try and getting new potential customers. Because remember, the new customer doesn't know you. The existing customer knows you. If you can solve a problem for them, but it's not quite in your field, or maybe you have to subcontract some work out in order to help them out, I would say take the opportunity, because you've helped a customer. Helping is the new selling. Even if you're charging for it, it doesn't really matter. If they say, oh, well, I'm doing this at the moment, can you do this for me? If you think you can do it, do the Richard Branson things, just say yes, and then figure out how to do it. This period has created a lot of opportunity. So it's whether you as entrepreneurs want to either persevere down a road, or whether you want to pivot a little bit during this time and just fulfill a need or a requirement. What strategies can you employ in the short, medium, and long term? Again, this goes back to talking. You know, if you understand what's going on in your industry, you can start to make plans of how you're going to do that. When this first hit, that first week, it was thinking about, okay, what activity can I do next week in order to try and drive my sales forward? Now, the activity might be contacting customers, seeing how they were, understanding what they're going through. The medium term, okay, in the medium term, what do we do with our customers? What do they need help with? How can I help them? What can I do? And then the long term is going out the back end of all this, okay? You know, having that conversation with your customers and saying, right, okay, when you come out of this, what do you think is going to happen? What are you going to be focusing on? What, you know, having a conversation around that, you know, you'll only get to know once you start talking to them. And that's why I put this slide up about talking. And then you can formulate your strategy about how are you going to help your customer come back. We don't know. You're trying to control the uncontrollable at the moment. So just focus on the things that you can do today. Things you can do is you can contact suppliers. You can contact customers. You can ring them up. You can do all those things. So focus on that at the moment. But really get an idea for what's going on in your industry at the moment, what's going on in your marketplace. I can't stress that enough, really. I need to wet my throat. Okay, so as it says in the bottom right-hand corner, sell the problem you solve, not the product. It's a lot easier that way. Work it backwards. So when you're going to be doing a lot of talking, you're going to be doing a lot of listening. And in sales, I would say that listening is one of the most important things that you're going to have to learn to do, but listen effectively and listen well. There are different types of listening. So we have passive listening, where you're not listening, and you may do that with your friends who talk a lot. And when they talk a lot and they don't engage with you, you tend to switch off. I have one particular friend when I go around, even though I'm a sales guy, I don't do much talking. I think I probably sit there for 99% of the time, nodding my head. And, occasionally I'll do the passive listening where I'm not listening. I'm probably looking at the TV, glancing at the TV, but nodding my head a lot, but not retaining any information. So passive listening is a little bit like that, and pretend listening is also the same. Projective listening, understanding listening, these are the different types. Attentive listening, empathetic listening, active listening, and facilitative listening. They're all the different styles that we use. I'm going to show the next slide. So the next slide shows you that there's noise in the background, you're ignoring. Passive. Projective based is selective listening, intentionally disregarding or dismissing other people's point of views. You'll find this a lot when politics come into to play. Attentive listening, you really want to be doing that a lot at the moment. Really focusing on your attentive listening skills. They're driven by the fact that they'll give you analytics to how things are working at the moment, how things are progressing. Active listening is another good listening trait that you want to try and adopt at the moment. So understanding feelings, gathering facts. They're largely for a selfish purpose. Obviously, they're for me because I want to gather information from my customers. But you really want to use those. I would say out of all those four, attentive and active listening is what you want to be focusing on at the moment. Make sure you adopt those styles. Pretend listening, I wouldn't do that much at the moment. You've got misunderstood listening. Some people overlay their own interpretation, making things fit when they don't. Empathetic, that's a massive one. That's a big one you should be using at the moment. Use that a lot. I've been using that a lot by contacting my existing supply chain, not only my supply chain, but my customers. And I'm treating, by the way, my suppliers like my customers. I'm having the same conversations with them because from a supply point of view, that really backs up my industry knowledge that I'm gaining from my customers, backing up exactly what I already know. But even from that standpoint, some suppliers are struggling as well. And some suppliers are asking me, do I know where to get such and such a product from or something else from? So again, from these conversations and from the listening that you do, you can then determine whether you want to persevere or whether you want to pivot your business a little bit during this time, and it may create opportunity for you. Facilitative listening, I would say 100% you want to be doing that at the moment. It's that's a big one. So as you can see, I'm going to go back with a slide. So there are really 4 of those that you want to be doing: attentive listening, active listening, empathetic listening, and facilitative listening. It's only when you read the words, you may have used these actually yourselves and you can read the other ones, but it's only when you read the words do you actually start to understand which ones you've actually used yourself. So yeah, listening at the moment, that's very, very, very important. Now then, okay, so I don't think we polled this, Michaela, but maybe people can use the chat or the question things. Has anybody used any of these before? You can just yes or no. Anybody give me a funny tale where they've pretended to listen to somebody or and they weren't listening at all? I have many of those with my girlfriend. She's kicking me under the table at the moment.
One of the things I sort of noticed when we first went into lockdown was I was quite scared to talk to people. And I was scared to listen to what they were going to say back. So I went into fear mode, a bit like a scared rabbit staring into the headlights, and I was scared to talk to people. I don't know which type of listening. That's like just not listening because I was too scared. I've changed it now.
Good. Yeah, you should. Don't be frightened to reach out to your customers. I would say that honestly. At the beginning, I was a little bit like that. You remember, timing is everything. I left them alone for a little while because I have customers all over the world. I have a lot of customers in Europe. Now, when I knew that Italy was going into lockdown, I would say for the first 2 weeks, I didn't want to pester my distributor because I knew that he would be going through enough as it is, trying to figure this whole thing out and what he's going to do with his teams, what he's going to do with his guys, and what he's going to do with his business. He had enough on his plate without me calling him. So that's why I said that at the very beginning when this happened, the first week is not the week to start selling to people. Timing is everything in sales. If you are starting to bombard people with products and services, you're just going to look desperate. I'm sorry, but you are. You're just going to come across that way. And I can tell you, I have seen some stuff out there where I just thought, you're just desperate. You just need money. And you don't care about anybody else. You don't care how you're going to get it. But if I'm seeing it, how many other people are going to see it? Timing is everything. The first couple of weeks were not the time to start doing that. But now is the time to start doing it. Now when everything settles down a little bit, now as people are getting used to this way of working, everything is settling down, if you would. It's just plateauing a little bit. Now people are starting to become open because they're working in a complete different way. They've been taken out of their environment and shoved at home. And some people, it's either fight or flight mode. Some people probably really struggle with it and other people have probably thrived with it. So you've got to let people settle down a little bit and figure that whole thing out themselves. And it's the same with business. You know, if you've just been shut down and you don't have any business at all whatsoever, what are you going to do? Those shopkeepers, those pubs, all those that are completely closed and have zero income, and then you come along trying to sell them something, what do you think they're going to say? When this is all over and you call them again, what do you think their answer is going to be? You know, so you have to put yourself in the shoes of the person that you're potentially approaching, and just see how that is. Yeah, Rizwana, yeah. Very good, Riz. I like that one.
pretending to listen to my children while trying to work. Yeah, I think we've all now got a degree in that. Selective listening.
Selective listening, yeah, absolutely. I hate the fear of right. Okay, yeah, sanitizer.
Tracy, she didn't like the fear mongering on the hand sanitizer, so she's making soap and she stepped away from all that, and rightly so, I think. And
I think so, but they're also saying now that soap is the same. You know, it does the same thing. So, you know, there is opportunity there. If there's a shortage, fill the gap. You know, offer people, let people know that you're out there and you have it. Because trust me, if you can't find it, you're going to go somewhere to try and find it. So make sure that you're visible if people want it. All you're doing is filling a gap. All you're doing, what's the problem? Remember, try and solve the problem. Problem is not enough hand sanitizer out there. What's the solution? Offer an alternative. And if people can find an alternative, they'll buy it. Okay, so good. I'm glad you lot have used those listening skills. Let's go on to the next one. So here's an apt saying. Selling is nothing more than asking questions and waiting for answers. That's all it is. Nothing more than asking questions. And as my own company, a sales training company, we've always taught people to sell without selling. And that is the perfect example of how to sell without selling. And the McDonald's, would you like fries with that, is also a fantastic example of not just upselling, but how to sell without selling, because it doesn't offend anybody. Someone just asks you a question. But it's how you put the question across and how that goes. So selling is nothing more than asking questions. And I would say if you are looking to sell services and products, asking a lots of questions is the only way for you to figure out how you're going to sell something. So just ask questions, and ask more questions. That's what I would say. 1 second, my screen is... Who are your customers? You may have different customers at the moment. You may have potential different customers. Some of you may have your existing customers, and some of you may have pivoted onto different customers. So it just depends who your customers are. Who are they? What are they? How do they interact with you and your company? Many different ways these days. We can't do the face-to-face now, so we're having to adapt. We're having to change. We're having to do the things that we're doing right now. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I think people are just getting used to it. And it's amazing how humans, when they start doing something that they didn't ordinarily do before, it's quite amazing how quickly they get used to doing something. So why do we have customers? Well, we can't live with them, can't live without them, as a lot of people are realizing. Is there potential turnover with your existing customers? I would say that there is, and you should explore that to the full right now. Because there may be products or services that you weren't selling before that you could sell now, and we've heard an example of it where somebody's fulfilled a gap. So 100% talk to customers. There is potential, I believe. Best way to interact with them, the only way you can do that at the moment is either by telephone or by having conference meetings or conference calls or webinars, whatever it is that you want to do at the moment. So we've talked about those at the moment. When I say that there is 80% of your customers could not be buying from you, what I mean by that is, are you selling everything that you do to that one customer? And hear me out on this one. What I mean by that is, I once left a company that I worked for and I went to work for another company. The guy that I took over was Bob, who had been in the company for most of his life. And the MD said to me, Steve, and we're giving you our biggest account. Whatever you do, just don't mess it up. Don't do anything with that account. Just look after it and keep it spending. Okay? 6 months later, I get called into his office and he's telling me, what did you do with that account, Steve? Of which my answer was, why? Well, you've doubled the turnover, so how did you do that? Well, I just walked along for the first time ever because I didn't know them, and I opened your catalogue and I started to go through all the products and services that you do. And it was amazing because the buyer went, I didn't know you did them. Bob's been coming here for 20 years. He never told us you sold them. I didn't know you did them. And all of a sudden, without even going knocking on another door, you have opportunity with an existing customer. Are you maximizing the potential with your existing customer at the moment? Do they know everything that you do as a business? Can you maximize the amount of spend that they're spending? Are you maximizing that for your own benefit, for your company? So you might want to explore that with your existing client base. Go back to them. If you think that a lot of you might be thinking, no, I've told them everything we do. Well, do yourself a favor, go back and tell them again. And let me tell you why. People forget. You go into that sales meeting, you think you've told them, you walk out the door, next thing his boss is on his back, I need that spreadsheet doing, or I need something else doing. Exactly what you've just told him has gone out of his head. And I can tell you, if you tell them 12 months later, they won't remember that you've told them. So you've got to keep reminding them constantly about your products and your services and what you offer. So I would say explore that at the moment. Explore the potential with your existing customer base. And if you think you've told them, go back and tell them again, because you just never know. There might be some more work there for you. Question. 1 second. I think someone's got a question. There, Q&A.
Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Then everybody gets to hear it. It's from Miss Johnson, and she says she's a network marketer in home-based travel businesses. And she's been with her company, but she's not got any customers. She's also a fitness instructor and wants to sell her services online, which would be great, like Joe Wicks. And she's too scared to ask for the money.
Okay. So what you might want to do is offer taster sessions, offer something. So you don't want to give everything away at once. So you might want to give away part of your program, but not your full program. So what that is getting people bought into what you're doing. So if you give something away, even though you might not want to, you want to charge later on, giving things away for free is really helpful because it gets them bought into you. So if you're going to give away, I don't know, a 10-minute session twice a week, okay, and they join you on one of these Zoom meetings and you get that. Now, if they want something else that's a little bit more tailored to them, then you could charge for that. If you see where I'm coming from, what happens is that they get bought into you. So you're bringing them in. You're giving away something for free, but you want something back. And then people might say, well, do you do a half-hour session, or do you do a 20-minute session, or do you do a longer session? Can you make me a plan? That's the time when you offer your services at a chargeable rate. Does that help you, Miss Johnson? That's what I would do if that was me. If I was in your shoes doing that, that is exactly the thing that I would be doing. I would be giving something away, knowing that if I get enough followers or I get enough people wanting to come to me and just take that free little bit, they come to you for something else. It's the law of averages. You get enough people there, they will do that. They'll come to you for the other stuff. That's the bit that you can charge for. Hope that makes sense. Okay. So next, let's have a look. So we've talked about a massive potential with your existing customer base. Remember to defend your account. So you have existing customers. Remember, people are going to be trying to get your customers. So the closer that you are to your customer at the moment about building these relationships, the stronger your business is going to be. So take this time to build those relationships because it keeps your competitors out. It keeps people from trying to come in and steal your business. A lot of people and a lot of sales guys forget that. They forget that somebody else is trying to get those customers. So you've got to defend those accounts. Oh, you give them 2 weeks of free classes, Miss Johnson. Right, okay. Very few customers. How are you giving those out? Can I just ask, Miss Johnson? You can put it in the chat box. Q&A, sorry, yeah. Only on Facebook Lives, right, okay. Well, the thing is when you do start to give things out online, we're just talking about it, you've got other competitors that are out there. It takes time to build your followers. It's not going to happen overnight. It takes time to build these. I can't really wave a magic wand and say, you're going to get 100 customers tomorrow if you do this, and this. What you've got to be is visual. You've got to be out there. And I would say you're more probably equipped to answer this one, Michaela, than I am, because you're a marketeer. But the more that you're in front of those potential clients, the more they are to come and eventually take part in what you're doing. The more visible that you are. And are you asking people to, share things out as well, or tell other people? Are you getting testimonials from them? Are you getting are you getting them to share things that you've done with other people to try and attract more followers, to try and attract more potential clients for you? So you might want to think about that. But Michaela's course would be a good one for you to go on. If that's how you're marketing your business, at the end, Michaela will tell you when that is. I jump on hers and
there's an awful lot of questions, and also you can't only rely on one platform. I found that, and you've got to assess other platforms. Facebook Live is working really well, but so many people are using it that it didn't get the same impact. We can run competitions, we can do that type of thing. And it's now the time that you really need all your friends, because you need to do what I do. And if I share something on Facebook, I then text everybody and tell them to share it.
Yeah.
That's one of the keys. But yeah, we're running some very interactive. I had to change all the sessions that I do, because the way we do social media has changed, and the way people respond to social media is changing. So it might be worth looking at coming on some of those workshops. So if you message us afterwards, we'll be able to set you up. They're kind of boot camps to make sure that you're using all the platforms.
Customer loyalty kind of leads on nicely to that. It's, although you're getting those potential clients or you're getting people on, it's about retaining them as well. So think about that. When you're getting them, are you retaining them? And you retain them by them buying into your whole branding and ethos of what you're doing, you know. So getting them involved to like, share, and do other things for you in exchange is a really good way of building relationships, keeping it stronger, and retaining customers, you know. And when people do come on, you know, I put it in here in bold letters, you know, thank people for their business and their loyalty. You know, when was the last time, you know, BT ever thanked you for paying the bill? You know, when I get large orders off my customers, I always thank them. When I get a small order off a customer, I'll thank them, you know, because it's a nice thing to do, and it makes them feel, you know, they get a reward for actually doing something for you. So in a human way, I'm giving something, even though it's just thank you, you know. Like I said, I've been in sales for a long time. It's always the little things that you do that will have a massive impact. And it's generally the little things that you do that don't cost any money that get you the impact that you get back from a customer. And most, I would say, I've worked for some big companies, some very big conglomerates, multi-billion pound companies. And I'll tell you now, I find that the bigger they are, the worse they are at customer service. One particular company that I worked for, I mean, I used to cringe when people used to speak to the customers in the office, you know, and I'd have arguments with them about how they treated customers. They didn't deserve customers, and yet they were a multi-billion pound company. And I always found that the bigger they were, the more ruder they were, the more arrogant they were as a business. And I just, it used to get on my nerves massively, because they just didn't deserve customers. So, you know, thank people for their loyalty, thank them for the business. Don't forget those things, especially at the moment. 1 second, I need to go to my next slide. Okay, so, you know, how well do you know your customers? Do you know your customers inside out? What do you know about them? And this really is a good time to get to know that, you know. So other than stalking them to try and find out what they're like, I wouldn't. What I would do is, you know, every time you have a conversation with a customer, why don't you ask them a question about something that you didn't know about them? You know, one thing that you didn't know about them before you had the conversation with them. And so over time, what you do is you build up and you drop it into conversation, obviously. You just build up a profile of a customer. One of my old customers, he's sold out now, but you know, I knew where his kids went to university. I knew his children's name. I knew when his wedding anniversary was. I knew when his birthday was. If we went out, and I always went out for a meal with him in Holland, you know, we always went to his favourite restaurant. I know what beer he liked. I knew what his favourite food was. Everything about that guy. But that took me 15 years to get to know him, because he'd been a customer of mine for 15 years. But it took time to get to know this guy, you know. So the stronger you get to know these people, the more you get to know them, the better the relationship is, the stronger your business is, especially at these times. You know, the more that you get to know them, the better it is. Is there a question? No? Okay. Yeah. So where are we now? Let's have a look. So how much you know about a customer? Try and get to know everything about them. Like I said, don't try and stalk them, but try and do that. Get to know them inside out. Take an interest in what they do. I used to take customers out to football matches. I'm not the world's biggest football fan. In fact, I probably don't like football. I don't like football. my customers would never, ever know that I didn't like football. Never. And I've been to many, many matches, met many, many football players. I hadn't a clue who they were, you know. I met Trevor Brooking in a car park once, wound my window down and asked him where was the exit to the car park. And the guys, my customers, were just in stitches with laughter saying, do you know who that guy was? No, I hadn't got a clue. Who was he? And then we had a conversation with him and, you know, but, you know, the point is that it's not about me, it's about them. You know, if they like football, I'll take them to a football match and they'll have a great night. They'll never, ever, ever know that I didn't like football. Not about me, it's about the customer. So that's what you do for them. Take an interest in them. Take an interest in what they're interested in. Always be polite, always be friendly, always be professional, I would say. Try and be happy, smiley. Difficult at the moment for some people to do that, but try and do that. You know, we're going to get through it. There's no good whinging and moan about it. We just got to get on with it. So, and we're here to try and do that. And I'm here to try and help you to do that. Every little thing that you do can have a massive impact. If you find out what cakes that your customer likes at the moment, you know, that'll be a good one. So when all this is over and you want to go and see a customer and you know what their favorite cake is, take a favorite cake in and then relate back to this time when they were stuck at home and you find out what cakes they liked because they go, they're my favorite. Yeah, remember we had a conversation about it when we were in lockdown. You know, little things like that have a massive impact. Massive. Don't forget that. It's huge. And I'm giving you tips and advice that I'm still selling today. I still have customers. I'm still doing this stuff day in, day out. But you'll have other companies that might go through this rule book and do a lot of the geeky stuff. But this stuff, this stuff is gold dust. These are the things that you need to be doing. These are the little things that make an impact with your potential customers and your customers. You can use this time to build trust and rapport, and you should do that. It builds credibility. It builds your brand. Choices as well at the moment. You know, if you think you can help a customer out, but you might not be able to, why don't you give them choices or somebody else that might be able to help them out? So even if you can't help them at the moment, why don't you give them some other alternatives that might do it, even if you make no money out of it? Cost offers. This is really about building trust and rapport. These are all the things that back it up, if you would. You can throw out offers at the moment. Okay, we're in a downturn. If you want to drive sales forward, one good thing is to put some offers out there. That might help people. If you're discounting product for a little bit, then why not? If it's needed, giving people different choices of products and services that you offer, that would be good. Quality can have an influence on people, and it builds trust and rapport. It builds trust with people. If they can trust your product to do the job that you say it's going to do, that's really going to help you out at this time. And people's a big one. If you have people in your organization or you're a people person, now is the time to shine more than ever. It's never been a better time for that. So building stronger relationships right now, I would say to you, I've talked about it over the last few slides. Now has never been a better time to build your relationships. Like I said before, use empathy at the moment. Use it first. Be closer to your customer than your competitor. If you are not close to your customer, your competition will be by the time this is finished. I'll tell you, 100%. Use this time to build that relationship. Use this time to keep your competitors out. Ask them how you can help them. I don't have coronavirus. I just need a drink. That's not corona time. That's better. Yeah, use this time. Help them. Ask them if they need help. And if they need help and you can give them help, do it. Even if it costs you no money at the moment, try and do that one little thing that helps them. If you can make something out of it and there's something in, then that's fair enough. That's completely up to you. I'm not telling you what to do. Can you pivot and persevere? Some of you had. Brilliant. If you can do that, you can charge for it. That's great. You're doing the right things. Or just chat, like I've said, just chat to your customers or your suppliers. Remember, there are also suppliers out there that have challenges at the moment. Don't forget about those. Speak to both sides of your chain, your customers and your suppliers, your key partners that you have within your business. Both of them will be having challenges, and you'll find that some things can come in the other way. If you're not taking care of your customers, your competitors will. I just said it on the last slide, and here's a slide that just tells you that. Don't forget about that. You're going to have people that will be messaging them, emailing them, trying to get your business more than ever now. So that now more than ever, you need those relationships to be as strong as possible. Can't emphasize that enough. So the fact that you're going to that you're there if needed. Sell the fact that you'll be there when it's all over. You really need to do that. Sell to them, and showing them the real compassion at the moment in this situation is going to really stand out for you. Ask them how they're feeling. Listen to them. Ask them how they're feeling and listen to them. Do that. Do that one thing. The little things that you do will have a massive impact when this is all over. Sell to them by sharing new ideas, opportunities. With our customers, we're offering more training because it was one thing we were going to do before it. And, not much has changed apart from the fact that we have an opportunity to create some training for them. So we're creating more training for our distributors. When this is all over, that'll help them to sell more products. We've used virtual technology, and we're going to be using it in the next few weeks because those engineers that we want to get to, some of them are at home working from home. So we have an opportunity as a business to try and reach out to them and educate them about our products and our services through our distributors, so that is a strategy that we're using at the moment. So there are opportunities out there. There are things that you can do. It just depends on what you want to do. Stop selling and start helping. I put this out on LinkedIn. I think it was yesterday or the day before, but it is stop selling and start helping. What you'll find is on the flip side of that helping, you might actually get money out of it. If you start to help people, you'll get it back tenfold. Just watch. Control what you can and try not to control what you can't. At the moment, you're trying to control the uncontrollable. You can't do that. You can't change those things up. But you can control things that are going on in your daily life right now. So you're trying to control the uncontrollable at the moment. So try and control what you can. What I mean by that is make yourself a list out the night before of the things you're going to do tomorrow. When you've done that one thing that's on your list, cross it out with a pen. And the reason that you cross it out with a pen is you feel like you've achieved something. You've done something. You've had an action on something. You're trying to control the uncontrollable at the moment, and you can't do that. You're trying to control this whole thing about this whole academic, and everybody's trying to do it, and you can't do that. So focus on what you can control. You can make yourself a list. You can do some activity. When you've done that activity, cross it out with a pen. You've done it. You've accomplished something. Look at your list at the end of the day and see what you've achieved. And that will help you better each day as this thing rolls on. If you're going to make a prospect list tomorrow, write prospect list down. When you've done your prospect list, cross it off. What's your next thing that you're going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do the day after, the day after that, the day after that? Make these lists, cross things off. You'll get a sense of achievement by the time we've finished with all this, and you'll feel more in control than you will at the moment. So yeah, make your lists out, do those. You'll feel more accomplished by doing something. You'll feel like you've completed something. That's really important. You're regaining control of the uncontrollable, and you'll feel more fulfilled when you've done it. When you've looked at your list at the end of the day, you'll feel more fulfilled with what you've done. And what happens is that slowly but surely, you're starting to move forward. You're moving things on, even though you can't move them on. You feel like you can't move anything at the moment. So that's really the importance of doing these things. You can, I think we've got a couple more minutes. Training webinars and vlogging, we've spoken about that. You can offer training out there. You can either offer it for free or you can charge a small amount or something. It's completely up to you how you do that. You can offer webinars. You can do vlogging, video logging. You can vlogging. You can create marketing to raise the awareness of your company and profile, so you can market out to a wider audience. You can give something away for free or at low cost in order for customers or potential customers to get a feel for what you are. What that does is it gets you in the door. And if anybody knows me, if they get me in that door, I'm not coming out, but I want to get my foot in that door. That's a way of getting your foot into the door. It's a way of getting into people without them even realizing. Prepare for when all this is all over. Start making plans for what you're going to do when this finishes. Remember, we're in it at the moment, but it's going to come to an end. That's inevitable. It will end at some point. So think about the activity that you can do at the end. Think about maybe planning what you're going to do with your business. What are you going to do day one when lockdown's finished? What are you going to do? Do you know what you're going to do that very day that happens? When they say, right, okay, everybody, everything's back open, we're all back and running. Day one, do you know what you're going to do? Do you have a plan for what you're going to do? Do you know what customer you're going to ring? Do you know who you're going to visit? So think about that. That one day, that first day that comes back, what are you going to do? You'll have a jump start on everybody else if you plan it now, and when that day comes, you'll be into it. You'll be into action straight away. So think about that.